Good morning. So my name is Benjamin Ensor. I'm a research director at Forrester Research, which is a global research company with offices in North America, Europe, and a growing number of offices in Asia. And I want to talk about preparing for agile commerce, which is, we believe, the next step in mobile and e-commerce, as companies need to learn to react and respond to customers in new ways. We believe that smartphones have brought the internet into the store, and that's forcing companies to take a much more agile approach to how they respond to customers across multiple touchpoints. And I want to try and address that question by looking at three things. Firstly, how is mobility changing e-business? Secondly, why is context critical for interactions with mobile customers? And thirdly, how can companies become more agile to respond to the rapid evolution of e-business? So let's start by looking at how mobility has changed e-business. What we find in our research, and this here is based on Western European adults with a mobile phone, is that people who have a smartphone, and particularly people who have something like an iPhone or an Android phone, are using the mobile internet far more than other customers, and that's probably not a big surprise to you. So smartphones have encouraged widespread mobile internet use. We expect that mobile internet use to continue to grow rapidly across Europe in line with smartphone use. So as the prices of the hardware falls, as demand for smartphones increases, we're finding that not only do more and more people have smartphones, but many of them, most of them, are using the mobile internet. And that has some fundamental implications for businesses because it means that your customers are not only connecting to the internet from home, but they're connecting to the internet from everywhere. So what we've seen over the past 5 years is a whole new ecosystem of mobile commerce has emerged. Mobile phones used to be just about communication, but increasingly people are using them to create content, to consume content, and to take control of their lives. And part of that is mobile commerce. The result is that shopping behavior is becoming more complex. So again, looking at Western European adults, what we're finding is that although there are still a large proportion of Europeans who haven't researched or bought anything online, among those who do, more and more customers are using multiple channels. So they're researching and buying goods and services not only on the internet, but also on mobile phones and increasingly on tablets. So increasingly, companies that sell directly to consumers are faced with having to deal with multiple touch points. You've got a growing number of ways in which your customers are interacting with you. And of course, some of those are fragmented. If on the internet, most people are using PCs and 3 or 4 different browsers, on mobile phones, it's a completely different story with dozens of operating systems and hundreds of different types of handsets. So you face a huge technology challenge, just optimizing your touch points so that each customer has a good experience. What we're also finding is that mobile internet users are using their mobile phones throughout their shopping journeys. So people are using mobile phones to check store opening hours, to find a nearby store, to check on the status of an order, to compare prices with compare prices in the store with online prices, and so on. So mobile phones are really starting to change the way in which people interact with you in the store. So mobile commerce is not just about people placing orders on a mobile phone. It's about them changing their behavior on the street, in stores. And what that's doing is it's launching a storm of innovation. Mobile devices and the other new technologies like cloud computing and social media are completely changing the way customers go about their journeys. We're seeing a whole series of innovations in things like offers and coupons, product information, mobile payment, and loyalty rewards, so that as customers go through the phases of the journey where they discover that they have a need for a product, they explore products, they buy and engage, there's a whole series of companies that are popping up with new solutions. And in particular, a series of companies coming up with what we call mobile digital wallets that combine offers and coupons, product information, mobile payment, loyalty and rewards. And so the mobile phone is becoming or will become a remote control that customers are using to manage the whole shopping and payment process. It probably sounds as if I'm exaggerating a little bit, but we're already starting to see it happening in markets like Japan, the United States, and indeed even here, Here in Turkey, many of the leading banks are working on exactly this kind of thing, and the operators. Sorry, I didn't mean to animate this. So mobile digital wallet is going beyond payment, using the phone to provide a whole series of value-added services, offers and coupons, enhanced product information, loyalty and rewards. And this is very disruptive. In particular, many of the companies that are doing this are trying to create value out of the data. In the past, the payments business was all about taking a very thin slice of the payment. But increasingly, we're seeing companies like Google that are very interested in this business because of the value they can get from the data. Just understanding you as customers and your shopping behavior has value to merchants and other advertisers. So what's context, and why does context matter? We believe that context is fundamental to being relevant. Increasingly, we find that customers say that most marketing, or a lot of marketing, isn't relevant to them. But companies can use the context from mobile phones to make interactions more relevant. So mobile context is the sum total of what your customer has told you and is experiencing at his or her moment of engagement. Customers' mobile phones tell you a huge amount about who they are. It tells you where they are. You can use your existing data, your CRM, to see what your existing relationship with that customer is. Have you dealt with this customer before? Has this customer dealt with you through social media? Do they come into your stores? So context is about using the information you have about the customer, such as their location, the time of day, their past behavior, all the information that you have about them in their systems and the information you can gather about them, to try and improve their customer experiences, to make the offers you make to them, the interactions they're having with you more relevant, to minimize the number of steps they have and manual entries. So we're seeing leading companies really trying to use context to make mobile experiences for customers much better. So as you think about the stages of the customer life cycle, we're seeing companies using mobility to send customers offers, to make games, to encourage them to shop. They're driving engagement across channels. They're using mobility to transact. They're using it as a payment device. And they're using it as a merchandising platform as customers seek new information or seek more information about products and services as they're standing in the store. And what all this change is doing is it's putting huge pressure on companies, particularly traditional companies, to respond and react. Effectively, your customers are responding faster and adopting technology faster than many traditional companies. And this is causing firms huge problems as they try and deal with the sheer complexity of customers who are coming at you through multiple different devices and expecting to have consistent experiences across those devices. We believe that there are 4 things that you need to think about. You need to think about your people, your organization, and your culture, and become what we call customer obsessed. You need to think about your business and technology processes and try and enable customers with technology. Make sure that your technology platforms that you're building make it as easy as possible for customers to do business with you. You need to integrate your channels by optimizing and architecting the experience. You need to be thinking carefully about how exactly does this customer journey flow work? What needs to happen at each stage of the process? And you need to measure what's going on. You need to encourage transformation. We find many traditional companies have problems that are caused by the goals and the metrics that they have. That individuals within those companies are being encouraged to do things that actually make no sense in the context of the overall strategy. Or, alternatively, companies simply aren't measuring. They don't really understand what's going on in their businesses. So I want to show you 4 examples of companies that we're finding that are moving to a more agile way of working. Darty is a French electronics retailer that is increasingly customer obsessed. They're not just focused on their customer. The customer drives almost everything they do. They obsessively research how are their customers behaving. They use the voice of the customer in every aspect of their business. So even things like IT systems availability is actually translated into the number of customers affected. So the whole organization is thinking continually about how do we make these experiences better for our customers. The entire organization is focused on a single goal. But you also need to create the technology platforms that enable those kind of customer interactions. Many big companies in particular have a whole spaghetti of systems and platforms and multiple different silos. What we're finding leading companies doing is they're trying to develop application programming interfaces that make it easier for developers to put information on new touch points, to make it easier to serve customers on tablets or devices of different types. So Virgin Atlantic Airways, for example, has built a whole series of new application programming interfaces that developers can call on to access core systems that enables them to rapidly develop new customer-facing touch points, whether that's kiosks, mobile phones, the web, or other channels. Thirdly, you need to think about how do you optimize the experience across touchpoints. What do you want the experience to be like for a customer as they work across your channels? Cabela's is a US outdoor clothing retailer. And they've worked really hard to think about how do they integrate multiple channels. So they're now using mobiles to drive store traffic via geofencing. So when you enter an area near one of their stores, you're getting a marketing message telling you about discounts in the store or other offers. They're using quick response codes on items throughout their store so that you can scan the content to find more information. So for example, when you're in the store, you can scan a quick response code and access customer ratings and reviews, because they know from their online experience that customers who read ratings and reviews are far more likely to buy, so they're translating that and bringing that into the store. And they're then closing the loop by asking buyers who've bought to write reviews. So think about what you want your multi-channel experience to be like. And finally, you need to think about how do you encourage transformation through the whole organization with cross-touchpoint metrics? How do you get everybody working towards the same goals? A classic problem we come across is that people in traditional channels, branches or stores, see new channels like mobile and the web as a threat to their jobs. And sometimes it is a threat to their jobs if it's been set up in the wrong way. What we're finding many leading retailers and banks are doing now is they're changing the way that they're measuring their stores and branches. B&Q, for example, which is a hardware retailer in the UK, changed the way that they measured their stores and achieved a fundamental change in the way the employees used the internet. So instead of the employees seeing the internet as a competitor, they see the internet now as a huge storeroom full of additional items to help their customers. And it's completely changed the behavior of their customers in the store. So think about the metrics that you have in place and what the barriers within your company are to employees doing the right thing for customers. So we believe companies need to take a more agile approach to dealing with multiple touch points. Business has become more complex. Your customers are more complicated. There are more touch points. You've got digital disruption. Your customers are moving faster than you. You need to change and learn how to move at that same kind of speed. That's easy-ish if you're a small startup of 10, 15 employees. It's very hard if you're a big established company with 10,000 or 15,000 employees. So remember these 4 things. Become customer obsessed. Use technology to make those customer interactions easier. Think about how you want the experience to be. Architect the experience. And encourage transformation by having cross-touchpoint or cross-channel metrics. We're seeing that customers are increasingly shopping using multiple touchpoints. Smartphones have brought the internet into the store. In response to that, leading companies need to go through substantial strategic technology and organizational overhauls to try and become more agile. I hope I've given you some food for thought. Thank you very much. And hopefully we've caught up a tiny bit of time.